last few verses have been concerned with deconstructing notions of the individual and also deconstructing notions that there's a physical, material world out there. Now, Buddhism in some quarters has a reputation for being a little bit pessimistic or even nihilistic. And this isn't the case at all. The point is that in this so-called nihilism, in denying the reality of the world and the existence of an individual, we are waking up to something greater, something transcendental. We're waking up to reality as it is. Reality as it's normally understood, as it's normally experienced, is hallmarked by dissatisfaction, by limitation, by conditions, by conditioning. And verses 63 and 64 point us in the direction of something different. Verse 63. That which is released from senses and measurements is neither an effect nor a cause. It has nothing to do with knowledge and that which is to be known. It is free from predicated and predicating. So that which is released from senses. The senses are the biggest culprit in telling us that there's something out there. There it is. There's the world. The senses show it to us. Well, they do that in a dream as well, don't they? But the point is, there's something free from the senses. There's something free from measurements. Measurements are what gives solidity to what the senses apparently reveal. We have measurements of time and space. That's all time and space are measurements. And yet we give them reality, don't we? Our clocks measure the passage of time. But there is no passage of time, there are only clocks. What is this time that is being measured? There are only the measurements of time. And similarly, space. What is space? Space is the distance between two objects. Again, it's a measurement. But what are you measuring? When you measure space, you're measuring nothing. We put a distance between here and there. There's actually nothing in between. But we make that nothing into a something. And we make that distance into something real. It's a cognitive measurement. The senses and measurement are actually to do with cognition. And this is the process of perception and giving a sense of reality to what is being perceived. This is the trick of consciousness, because whatever we're conscious of, whether it's a dream or a hallucination or a cognition, we give it reality. It's only in retrospect that we'll take back that reality and say it was only a dream, only a hallucination, or only ignorance, spiritual ignorance. Now, we're being pointed in the direction of something else here, something which is neither an effect nor a cause. The world of cognition is the world of cause and effect. But transcendental insight, spiritual insight, insight to what is beyond cognition, well, it's not the result of a cause, which is a bit unfortunate for all those spiritual types that are trying to get there through various spiritual practices, so-called spiritual practices, because it's not an effect. So transcendental insight is not an effect. There is no cause which produces it, no matter how exotic the technique, no matter what the provenance of the spiritual instructor or the spiritual instructions. You're not going to get there through anything that you can do, because it's not an effect. There is no cause which can give rise to it. And similarly, it's not the cause of anything. We can't blame it for the world. So if you want to think in terms of God, the whole question of why God allows bad things to happen does not arise, because this is not a cause. It's not fulfilling some divine plan. It is not something that is concerned with ordinary reality any more than we're concerned with our dreams when we're getting on with our everyday business. We are quite dispassionate towards our dreams. This is rightly so. In the same way, this reality beyond the senses and measurement, beyond cognition, is dispassionate towards spiritual ignorance. It has nothing to do with knowledge and that which is to be known. And this is a bit of a shock in our modern culture, where knowledge is seen as a good thing. The acquisition of knowledge. This has nothing to do with that. You don't have to be clever to realize this. In fact, being clever is a bit like being the Christian, the rich man in Christianity, who's going to have more trouble getting into heaven than it would be for a camel to squeeze through the eye of a needle. Now, this doesn't mean to say we're anti-knowledge. It's just pointing out that the way to this insight is not through knowledge. It's through realization, it's through waking up. It's through an epiphany. So we don't have to get through lots of books on Buddhism or whatever. We don't have to watch all my videos even. And this should be a bit of a relief, because it means it can happen just like that. This isn't something that is known. It's not a higher state of consciousness. It's simply realization of the nature of your own awareness. It is free from predicated and predicating. In other words, there's nothing that can be said about it. We can't even say that it exists. We can't speculate about its nature. It doesn't come within the purview of what can be known. And there's no point. There's no point in speculating about it. But we try, in the hope that we can be pointed towards it. When we normally talk about things, we're forming concepts about them. And we communicate concepts. But in talking about it, there's no point in forming concepts because this is going in the wrong direction completely. So in talking about it, we want to be able to turn towards it. Turn towards your very own awareness, your very own ordinary awareness, which is hearing this right now, right here. All of this is reinforced in verse 64, which I'll continue with in the next video.